Welcome back here, folks, to this spontaneous recording on the corner regarding the territories of Louisiana from 1805 to 1812, otherwise known as the Louisiana Purchase.
Yeah, or
Would you like?
like I would like to say it's a semi-spontaneous because we have talked about this for a while, but we just decided to do it spontaneously tonight. So I guess it's semi-spontaneous.
Semi-spontaneous, yeah. But yeah, I gotta hand it to you, man. It was an interesting topic to choose for this.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, let's take it back here, man. If you have the image up, right?
Yeah, I have it.
The territories of Louisiana, as I understand it, was a kind of like payment, payment
Yeah,
for helping fighting against the Queen in the War of Independence. And it looks like from the map that it wasn't all France, because it says like some of the territories here was from Spain 1783 to 1800, and you can also see on the map, man, that the Spanish had quite a lot of territory as well, man, in the US.
That's what I found so amazing when I watched this map. It's like how much like, look at this. This is basically all of California, or almost. Like, I think that today's California, if you were to compare it, let's just look at a map. You say today we have California. Hold on, I'm just gonna fucking. Is there a better map? Let's just fucking pull this up here. We have the maps. Yeah, we can just take this Google Earth map. You see, we have California stretching all the way up here, but we have Oregon here as the current state here. And as you can see here, we have the Oregon Country, which is up here, claimed by U.S. and Britain as well. So this is basically all of California that was in Spanish possession back then, and a good deal of Colorado and the Rio Grande as well.
Yeah.
So that astonished me, I gotta admit.
Like something that is we gotta check that out. But when I was in the US, in New York, then there was some place where it said where the last battle against the Brits were, right, in the city. Or where the last Brits surrendered or something, right?
Where were you again? Like, you were in New York?
We're in New York and Connecticut.
Oh yeah, so that's here for you viewers who are watching the video. It's here where I'm hovering with my mouse right now. So yeah, you were there.
And what bothers me is it says that it's where the last British soldier surrendered or something to George Washington or something himself. But Oregon country on this map, was way later before, because they held on or held their presence in this area for quite some time. Because it was such an attractive territory to have regarding trade from Canada, so trade from China or the East,
Yeah, but as we can also see, which is also very interesting, we have. Canada was actually mostly British possession as well, as you can see up here, during this time frame, 1780 to 1800. And so that must have happened a lot later, the independence of Canada, than the United States. I think the 13 original states, as we see here in green. They were claimed in 1783, as we see here, No, they weren't claimed. They were claimed in 1776 with the Declaration of Independence. But this is just a map showing the starting at 1783 for some reason. I don't know. I don't know why.
I believe. Yeah, no, but like let me see. Like, where does it say 1783? I mean, like we're like. And the first state to ever get settled, I believe, was Delaware. I believe that Delaware was the first, like kind of like in the middle of the coast here.
Yeah. There was the first. No, what?
Settlers.
You were lagging
First
a bit
settlers.
there.
First settlers.
First
settlers came to Delaware, right?
I would have thought that was actually New York, in Connecticut at least. But yeah, you might be right.
Why? I don't know why they chose to land in Delaware, but that's where they chose to land.
Yeah, because like New York and Connecticut, if you look at the map, it's a lot closer to Britain, or well, not a lot closer, but it's at least it seems like it's the first land that you would encounter if you come like from England.
It might.
If we go, I am showing on screen right now the road from New York City. If you have like here the straight line, it actually goes over to Spain. So you would have, if you come from Great Britain, you would actually have to go all. The closest thing would actually be Nova Scotia from Britain in Russia, and then you pass Nova Scotia, and then you come to Connecticut. So that would be the first land you see of the U.S. If you sail in a straight line, that is.
I was going to say that it wasn't the first state to get settled. I want to correct myself for that. But it was this Delaware was the first state to receive, like statehood in the United States.
Right.
That became like a state 17. Like order. I've sent you the link. Like it seems like it became like a state or admitted to become a state in 1787. And
yeah, that makes more sense than it being the first state that was discovered, because that would make more sense that you would run into, especially if you come from England or the Vikings coming from Scandinavia, that you would run into Rhode Island or Connecticut. Yeah.
And look at this, man. Look at this. That if you have like the same pictures up as me, man, that guy on a horse has ridden fast. Because there you have like date admitted 1787 7th.
What picture?
I sent it on Discord. And there you can like see that the Delaware was admitted as a state the 7th of December 1787. Right.
Yeah.
And then just a couple of days later, Pennsylvania is admitted as a state, and a couple of days after that, again, New Jersey.
Yeah, it's basically some they just like they just said to some poor guy on the fastest horse in the east. They were telling him, "Yeah, man." No, of course not in a southern accent. They were saying just in a normal British accent or like just normal American accent. Yeah, you're going to ride from Delaware to Pennsylvania now to bring the good news that they are now a state. And that's probably why there's these little increments in the dates, like 5 days more. So it took him 5 days to ride from Delaware to Pennsylvania.
And then he has like a small break, and then he's on it, and then he's on it again, man, the 2nd of January. And then the 9th of January. Holy shit, man, that's a full-time job for this, like, especially if it's been one horse. But I mean, like they had to like file for statehood. And then like send the letters to the functioning government at the time, which I guess would have been George Washington and the founding fathers.
Yeah.
So like the letters would have to be sent to at least like one of these people, so they could register that now this territory is a state.
Yeah, and also like the dude who was writing with these messages, that dude better be paid, yo. I mean, he was probably like some hardcore messenger who's like upping himself in his rank, and was getting very high. A high-ranking authority official, and was like, no, I'm not going to fucking ride from Delaware to Pennsylvania to New Jersey to Georgia in like a month, and fucking make all these states belong to America. I'm not gonna do that just for the patriotic goodwill.
Man, like they should, what they should do? They should make a movie about that dude.
Yeah. Fuck, man. I mean, I'm surprised that kind of movie hasn't been made in Hollywood yet. I mean, not to my knowledge, at least, but still.
But like a person like that would, like definitely be encountering some, at the very least, entertaining stuff to watch.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because we are talking about the late 18th century here, which is not. I don't know how far guns were developed back then. That is not exactly my area of expertise.
No, they definitely didn't have like the 6-shooters and shit that you see in Red Dead Redemption and the old Western things.
No, like the high point of the gun era in the United States was the 19th century. That's for sure. But like you still gotta assume that they still had revolvers, at least back in the 18th century.
I don't know, man. Like I think it was like powder guns.
We can Google that. Guns in the 18th century.
Yeah. Because it was definitely guns in the powder guns in the 17th century when it was pirates roaming these waters in the Caribbean.
Yeah. Let's just have a look.
So I'm not sure, man. Like when the first revolver would have come, but yeah, man. There
was something called the Spanish M1752 musket. Was a muzzle loading firearm invented in 1752.
Powder.
Yeah, powder.
So no, man, like it was like still very new at this time with guns. And like, can you imagine that? Like a shot. Oh, hang on, guys, I gotta reload the gun. I'm ready in like 5 minutes.
Wow. There was actually something called a knock gun. I don't know if you've heard about that.
The nut gun.
The nut gun was a 7-barreled flintlock smoothbore firearm used by the Royal Navy during the early stages of the Napoleonic Wars, 1780.
Wow. Okay.
There definitely was advanced weapons even back in the 18th century, but not in the like. Probably not in the amount as in the 19th century in the Red Dead Redemption area.
It seems like it is kind of like a shotgun.
And also this was only like probably used in military. A
7-round, kind of like a 7-barrel shotgun. Then you know.
But also you gotta consider, because the United States Constitution was first put into effect in 1776. So before that, there was no United States of America. There was no unified states. There was just a bunch of Brits basically that had just settled. and so like it was only after 1776 that we really get this heavy, massive overload of guns.
But like still, man, like back to the picture, I'm surprised, man. Like holy shit, the French had like a lot of territory.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
like the like
That's
oh
true.
like say like maybe like the largest territory in the U.S. then at the time.
Yeah.
So like makes me wonder, like did Napoleon know what he was selling? Or did he just think like, yeah, just give me the money so I can fund my war?
Yeah, it's just like it's amazing. It's crazy to think about what would have happened if somebody had reasoned Napoleon into not selling the Louisiana territories. Like then it would still have been French. I mean, this entire area, I'm pulling it up here as we speak, on in the middle of the U.S., Arkansas, Missouri, and everything that lies in the middle here, basically all of this desert, would be French.
Yeah.
And then you would maybe even have the like I don't know much about why the Spanish possession here was forfeited.
No, I can answer that. American Civil War against Spain, man.
Oh yeah, in the South, right? In the South.
Yeah.
No, not in the South, because after the territory of Louisiana was purchased by the U.S., they occupied this area as well in 1803, and that means that they had like this whole big ass chunk of land to station your troops and to go to war against the Spanish, who only had like this relatively little land here compared to the rest of the U.S. at this point in 1803. So of course, I don't know if like it's probably a very thin-veiled argument to base all of this on land mass, but I mean, it seems logical enough. Like the more land you have, the more place you have for your troops to be, and the better you will be at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So like at the end of the day, the Brits or the Americans, as they call themselves at this point, they were rebels, fucking breaking out from the Queen. They had more land and they had more possibility to go against the Spanish and then win everything at the end of the day.
Yeah. So America apparently went to war against Spain in 1898. Where hostilities escalated when I'm reading from Wikipedia, by the way. Hostilities escalated in the aftermath of the internal explosion of USS Maine in Havana Harbor in Cuba. Also, owned by the Spanish at the time, right? So this was like I guess like the match that lit the war.
Yeah. Wow.
And then like that happens before after this, right? I'm not sure, like if like what happened after this, because I remember, like I need to correct myself, because I thought that the U.S. went to civil war against Mexico. So I'm not sure like if Mexico was independent at that time or not. Because that there is a reason why they call the state New Mexico.
True.
Right.
Like I don't know.
Okay.
Man.
It seems okay. Now we're back here.
But we're also getting a little off topic from the purchase of Louisiana.
Okay. Let's get back to the purchase of Louisiana. I just want to mention like one more thing though. When Spain had all these states and Florida.
Yeah.
There was, like a bunch of ships that sank outside the Florida coast and the Caribbean with gold.
Yeah.
Because the Spanish was greedy and they overloaded these ships and sent them out. And as you know, like that area in the Caribbean and the Florida coast is like heavily hit by storms and hurricanes.
Yeah, for sure, man. So yeah, that's interesting.
So yeah, like let's get back to the Louisiana Purchase. We were like discussing a little bit about like what if they hadn't sold it. Um, I
Yeah.
think you know what I think like it would have ended up like Canada. You know, like small skirmishes like along the border,
Yeah.
making an uneven borderline because you would have like some conflicts there and some
It's a
conflicts
what?
there.
Like you were
I
cutting.
don't
You were cutting out
see
there.
that
Just
there would
repeat
have
that.
been. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like I don't see that they would have gone into a full-blown war against the French.
No.
Because if they did, then they would have been they would have been like well aware of the size of an army that the French
Yeah.
could have sent from Europe as well,
Definitely.
right?
I mean, like you got to think about like France is a much bigger country, both area-wise and population-wise, at this time than the
Yeah,
British government. So, like, if the French had still maintained a presence in Louisiana at this time,
yeah,
they might have even been able to outnumber
yeah.
or at the very least give a equal resistance, so that it could have been a lot much longer war. And now we're already into what I would have thought would happen is basically that there would have been probably a massive war between these two very different countries, because like you have to also think about, there's always been quite a lot of wars between England and France, dating all the way back to the Middle Ages, all the way back to before the Middle Ages even.
Yeah.
And so like
Yeah.
that the French
Uh,
occupying this huge of a chunk in right in the middle of the States, with the
but
Spanish right next to them, that would not have looked good for the British or for the American settlers.
I mean, like the territory, the Midwest territories there that they held were payment, for helping out.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, but like at least I would like to believe that the Americans would have, the be upstanding enough to be like, okay, we're going to respect the deal we made. This territory is yours, and this territory is ours. Regarding the Spanish occupation.
Yeah, but not if they didn't get some sort of payment. Like if Napoleon had just like been a dick and said, "No, you're not gonna get this land for helping us."
Yeah.
Then I don't know. I'm not so sure, man. I'm not so sure how it would have, because if you think about it, it's a fucking huge land. And maybe the Americans underestimated it because it's like a lot of desert and stuff, but it's still a lot of fucking country, man.
Yeah, but they had to do something to win the war against the British, and like let's be realistic, that they wouldn't have won it if it wasn't for the French.
No.
Because like even though like they were in numbers and stuff, they were still settlers. They were still massively undermatched regarding what the fuck the Queen could send.
Yeah.
Regarding ships, gunpowder, and men.
But that also is a testament to how Napoleon actually didn't know what to do with the Louisiana territory. No. He just wanted to get rid of it, which just fucking points to his delusion of grandeur in a way, because like why would he not want this territory?
Yeah, like kind of, yes, because like he was fighting for a territory that was way less than that. Right? He was fighting these wars in Europe, and even if he had won, the gain would be still far less than what he already had of land.
Yeah, but like he had the territory of Louisiana in his fucking clause in 1800 to 1803, and then he sold it to the Americans for helping them win the war against the British. Why?
To fund the war.
Oh, okay, to fund the war. But
Yeah.
But that's a huge sacrifice to make, like to fucking sell 1/3 of the U.S. today in order to fund the fucking war. I mean, just fucking think about that fucking delusion for a second. I mean, how fucking crazy do you have to be to do that? I mean, how desperate do you have to be?
And he sold it for 50 million franc, which equaled 11.2 million American dollars at the time. Selling each fucking acre for 3 cents. And if you adjust that for inflation, towards like current value of currency, then that's still ridiculously cheap, since that's 42 cents an acre.
Yeah, and if you just assume that Napoleon hadn't been some fucking delusional asshole with a fucking delusion of grandeur complex, who would have fucking thought, well, then my army is just going to be a little smaller, but say I will still keep like 1/3 of America. Then I truly think that he could have. Like, fuck, man, he could have stationed stuff. He could have stationed French troops, even though his army wouldn't have been so great, but he could have still stationed some troops there and made something of the fucking middle of America. But, yeah, man.
And he still had a coastline, and he still had a small line in Louisiana. So he would still have been able to position large parts of the French Navy right there.
No, where I don't see any coastline though. Here on this map.
Okay, man. Okay.
There's no.
I'm going to send you. I'm going to send you another map of it.
Because on this map, it doesn't look like there's any coastline to.
But the Orleans territory, the New Orleans territory was still French.
Oh, okay. All right. Then he actually
parts of it, right?
Then he had a lot of coastline actually to the Gulf of Mexico.
So no, he would have been able to like place large parts of that navy there, which would have been like big enough for both Spain and the U.S. states to know that like maybe we shouldn't fuck with France.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But I guess it's like what Saul Goodman says in Breaking Bad. I guess it's like when people see those high money numbers dancing in front of them, it's like highway hypnosis.
Still, man, like imagine it, like 40 cents. Like just translate it into like European standards. That's 10 cents per square kilometer.
Yeah, that's not like nothing.
In like today's money, man, 10 cents.
Absolutely nothing. Wow. So, I mean, for the Americans, it was a bargain, a complete bargain.
I mean, like they must have like been thinking like, holy shit, that dude's stupid. Because that's a large part, man, that to sell. Like if they had maintained it, I still think that France would have been there, and I think that the Midwest would then have been part of the EU.
Yeah.
And France will like definitely have been a way richer country than they are today, since like they have like Montana, Wyoming, Kansas, like a lot of resources
I would even go to so far to say as we would have a third world or if not third, then at least second world power. Like today, the U.S. is the leading country in the world, making every major decision. Like every decision that the U.S. makes, that the rest of the world kind of has to adapt to that. But if France, if Napoleon had never sold that territory, then I'm pretty sure there would have been like a different power to that. The Spanish might still have been fought down, like the French, and because the French and the but then again, I don't know, man. Okay. It's difficult to predict. Because like there could have been a threefold fucking power version between Spain, French, France, and Americans.
I was like thinking that like maybe he sold it because he didn't want to bother dealing with the Indians.
Yeah.
Because at this time the Indian presence would still be huge in the Midwest. Like I don't know if you ever like seen Hell of Wheels or read about the building of the railroad in the U.S. And then and this was like even further. This was like even like in the mid 1800s. That would have been like 50 years after the Louisiana Purchase. They still had problems with that because let's not forget that like the America was the Indians' lands first.
No.
And they would still fight to the death to protect some of these territories, especially in Wyoming and especially in Wyoming,
So it's definitely like interesting to see. Personally, I'm leaning more towards like in that scenario where Napoleon had kept Louisiana because of whatever, some advisor who had stabbed him to death and said, no, we're not going to do this. we're going to keep Louisiana. Then we would have had French Louisiana, what was it that I wrote to you on Steam just before no, it was on Discord that I wrote this what I thought it was going to be. Let me just pull it up right here. So then we would have the United States of America in the east, which would have been the EUSA, so East United States of America. And then we would have the États-Unis d'Amérique, which would have been the French region, the French America, basically. And then we would have La América d'Español, or something like that in Spain. And I actually don't think there would have been a major war. I know I wrote that to you earlier, but I don't think there would actually be that, because all of these three would be so major powers that they would have to find some way to like coexist, just like the EU now today.
Because like if it would have been like you fuck with us and we fuck with you, then that's mutual destruction.
And that would have ended in something much larger than the Second World War. The body count would be much larger than the Second World War, even. I think. Just a speculation.
Well, we don't know the population of America back then.
And also imagine the chaos, like if this had happened as the same time as Hitler came to power in Germany, and because like America was a very dominating factor during this time, during the Nazi regime in Germany, and like imagine if they had only been 1/3 of America back then, and 1/3 of France, and 1/3 of Spain across the Atlantic to like control this. Like how chaotic would that have been?
If they had one, if they were in a union, which I think they would have gotten.
Regarding
like how tightly they're knitted together and stuff. Then they would have gotten into into some kind of union deal and been like, okay, we are all going to send our forces to Europe.
But
But you know,
it would have been, there would have been a lot more red tape, as we can see in the EU these days. I mean, the EU works much slower than the US as well, because it has to go through so many translation processes.
That said, though, America first got involved in World War II when Hitler sunk one of their ships.
Torpedo,
like so.
Yeah, but then the entire country of the U.S., like all of this that we see right here, would have been involved. But if it had been like the separation between Spain, France, and the East U.S., then it would only have been 1/3 of the country's navy and marine.
Yeah.
And that would have been a much smaller army, unless they had some sort of treaty. But then again, as I said, much more red tape, like there is in the EU these days.
For sure, man. I mean, like, I could imagine that if something like that happened today in Europe, they would have been way more hesitant with joining in on the battle.
Yeah.
Because, like, one thing is their
like what countries do you mean? Like what countries?
I mean like the US, because like one thing is their involvement in the Middle East, but that's forces they can handle, right?
Yeah.
But you know, like if it was like going up some kind of like superpower in Europe now, and a third world war starting, I think they would, you know, like still be like a way more hesitant with like, you know, like jumping the gun and joining in on the war, because then the question would have been, is this actually a war we can win? And they couldn't answer that in the 1940s when they joined in on the war. It was just, you know, like a Hail Mary, hoping that it would be enough to take down Hitler.
Well, like, I get what you're saying, but probably they would be hesitant. But the U.S. still is part of NATO, which still, there's still a lot of treaties there. I've pulled a map up as we speak. We have a lot of Europe that is part of NATO, as well as Canada and the U.S.
And you have a president that is threatening to pull the US out of the NATO deal.
Yeah, but that hasn't happened yet. As of 2020, September 25th, they're still part of NATO, which means that if let's say Uzbekistan or Afghanistan or whatever the fuck declares war on Denmark, then the US as part of today, 25th of September, has to fucking help us.
Yeah.
With their entire fucking army, or well, I don't know exactly the extent of the fucking treaty that are signed in NATO, but definitely some sort of military action will have to come from the US if some country invades Denmark.
I would say though that like even without the US, the Europe's combined armed forces is still massive.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, we're still like massive in forces even without the US, and in any scenario that you read where, for instance, Russia chooses to attack Europe, even without the US's help, in every scenario, Russia still gets beaten back.
Yeah.
At some point, because
we have both the French army, the British and Germany, like that. That's combined. That's exactly. Fucking massive armies already there. I mean, exactly, like so. you could fucking say Germany was able to hold a stance on its own for 5 years against the French, the fucking the British and the Americans and the Russians, basically the whole world, together with just the help of the Italians and the Japanese.
The problem,
and now that we have the Germans on the side of the Allies as well, it would be more than easy to beat Russia in a confrontation.
The problem back then was that we weren't prepared for it. We weren't prepared for that in any kind of way. So we had never practiced or trained forces on an international basis to mobilize forces in an event like that and how to act.
Yeah, that's
Today,
true.
today there is like massive military exercises going on with like joint forces
Yeah,
going on, right? In any scenario where the Russians would attack, and like how to mobilize, how fast would we be able to mobilize, when could we get troops down there, when could we get troops up there, and so on, right?
yeah,
So the balance is still there today, man, even without the US's help.
yeah. But I think like we've also gotten a little off topic here from the Louisiana Purchase. I mean,
Yeah, we
this
got
has turned into actually quite a delusional war
yeah.
discussion about just seeing all this land mass. And actually, I must admit that I've been kind of hypnotized over the past 10, 15 minutes by all this
Yeah.
land. So I would like to
uh,
bring this back to like down a notch, and just look at the map again and like to see the Louisiana territory here from 1803,
yeah.
which was when it was purchased by the Americans. So this is facts. We are back to the facts now, and
Like
we
how
have
how big how big was it? Okay, man, it was 828,000 square miles, meaning it was two. Holy shit, man!
what
That's
you were
the
lagging there again.
I was like saying the Louisiana Purchase equals the size of land of Alaska.
Oh wow, yeah, that's
Like
pretty big. Holy
that's
shit.
fucking huge.
And
Hey,
Alaska,
man.
if I do recall correctly, Alaska was also just like a gift from or yeah from the Russians,
From the Russians, yeah.
or at least a
Peace gift.
purchase. So yeah,
Uh,
man, you can actually say the U.S. is just like, I mean, fucking capitalistic country that has just bought up land everywhere.
yeah.
Like just yeah, we just buy this land, make our country bigger. Yeah, we just buy up this land, make our country
Yeah,
bigger.
and then skirmishes to get land.
Yeah,
Like you notice how the border is uneven against Canada, where you see like Montreal, Chicago, Quebec, and all that. Um,
yeah,
and like it is so uneven because all this territory was like massively wanted at the time because of the fur trade.
yeah. But
From Canada, from
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it makes sense though. Like, it is also a smart tactic to just buy countries or to just buy land instead of going to war for it, because it's much less casualties, as like especially if you can afford it, if you already have a lot of land like the
It's
U.S.
less
had.
it's less work,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
At the
and
end of the
then
day, even though the money is also the money also stands for work which is done in the country, like in the Western territory or in the Eastern territories at this time, but that even though that work for that money is still less work than going to war.
yeah.
Yeah,
And like not only that, but you would have to like find a large bunch of people which is armed, and then you would need to amp them up for
yeah,
whatever reason, and be like, hey, we're gonna go, we're gonna go to this place and we're gonna take those motherfuckers out.
yeah,
And then hopefully you have a crowd that like don't ask the question like, who are these motherfuckers and why are we why are we doing this?
yeah,
But then you would probably be shut down with like, hey, you're doing this because I'm paying you with the almighty dollar. And the
yeah.
almighty dollar tells you to keep your mouth shut.
And it ain't even a Canadian dollar, it's a US dollar, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So you better work your ass off and keep your mouth shut.
Oh man, I'm still like like I've said it before, but I'm still missing a movie about this because like yes, there is like movies about the 13 original colonies and stuff, right? But I would want to like see a movie about like what happened after. How did they purchase that land, and what did they do
Yeah.
when people refused to sell?
Yeah.
But this is a darker part of the U.S. Origin history.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, like how much is even written down or documented about it. But I believe there is some dark shit. I believe like fucking
Yeah.
families on lands have been like massacred for their land,
I
and
mean,
people
it's definitely
killed
worth
or
looking into. I mean, if by any chance we should encounter someone who studies American history, which I don't know is likely, but I mean, you never know. Could
yeah.
be. The
Well,
universe is
it
fun.
could
Shout out to
it would
you right there. Please just look it up. Like try to Google it. Try to use the scientific method to work something out. Like try to uncover this. I'm sure it
it
would be quite a unique undertaking, actually.
it would definitely be like a bunch of Indian reserves that would know this, like from their grandfathers or ancestors' stories told down in the line
Yeah.
on like how they were massacred and stuff. And it's kind of like interesting how much fucking racism is going on in America when they were immigrants themselves, right?
Yeah.
They weren't fucking born there. They moved there.
Yeah.
Regarding
That's kind of a
regarding
paradox. That's kind of a
yeah,
paradox indeed. But
regard
it is.
regarding the racism towards Afro American people,
Yeah.
towards Hispanics, right? Being
Yeah.
like, oh, fucking speck, go mow my lawn, bitch.
It's interesting how fast the American people today have seemed to forget
Yeah,
um, their history. But I
but
think it goes back to what Tarantino has once said. Quentin Tarantino, he once said that like the America has never been confronted with their past as, for instance, the Germans have been confronted about their past with the Nazi regime. I mean, Germans today are still sensitive if you mention
yeah,
the word
but
Nazi, but in America, you say the word nigger, and people are like, yeah, sure, they're also sensitive, but it's not in the same way, and it's like there's still a lot of people, and like especially amongst blacks, people still call each other nigger as well. You would never see people in Germany who are calling themselves Nazi among
no,
themselves.
man. No, man, you would never fucking see like a dude going into a bar and say like, "Hello, guten Abend, mein
Yeah,
Nazi.
no, 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 no,
Eine
no.
große,
Wow.
eine große Bier, bitte."
You would be given the hard stare down,
Yeah,
and being asked politely to leave, because Germans today are kinder than they were during
yeah,
that regime. But yeah, like fuck, man, you would be asked to leave the
yeah.
establishment. But the
Uh,
U.S. doesn't have that in the same way. They're like
no,
cold
and
in that
I was
regard.
getting to it because Americans are now like, like you viewed upon as the victors, right? They
Yeah,
won.
yeah,
and
exactly.
it is always the victor that writes the outcome of the history.
Yeah, and so they
So,
they
so
don't have that feeling of guilt.
no,
They
and
no,
they control it, right? Even
yeah,
though it is in the bottom raw, it is a country that is built upon blood, hate, and greed.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Yeah, it's
all
true.
that's all the foundation that has, like had for those original settlers to, like push that train forward. Like might as well they all might as well have been like Walter White and be like, this train stops for nothing. Keeps moving.
Wow, what an analogy there. Holy shit, man. Oh, that's fucking genius.
Couldn't you see that?
Yeah. This, nothing stops this train. Like fucking hate against the Queen, blood from the civil wars, and greed from the capitalism that has arisen from the low-tech system. Nothing stops the train to the west. Like, oh man, that's another testament. That's another testament to how great Vince Gilligan's Breaking Bad and Peter Gould's Breaking Bad is. I mean, it just fucking reflects the history of America in such a great way.
Yes. So we're going to push this train all the way to the west coast.
Oh my god. I'm sorry, I'm almost falling down from my chair. Because,
oh man,
and of course we can laugh of this because we're not actually a part of this crazy fab country. We're sitting here in comfortable Denmark where people have fucking cash help if they're not fucking able to stand on their own feet from the government.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to round it off here. Since I'm talking a bit.
Probably better.
So, you ended, man.
Me ended. That's kind of a different way to go, but okay, I'll end it. Thank you for being here on the 25th of September 2020. Talking about the Louisiana Purchase. This was a very interesting historical discussion that we had today, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And let's stay tuned for more, and of course subscribe and like and all that jazz there that I'm not so fond of. But who the fuck cares? Peace out, guys. See you in the next one.